What's up, Desktoppers? Xavier Wills here with Milos Sarcev, and we're going to be reviewing some 8K footage from the 2022 Yamamoto Cup in France. Discuss how it was a one-point decision. Was it Jamie Christian actually ripped off? Did he deserve more of a look at the top two? We're going to get obviously my views and Milos Sarcev's views on that as well. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video. What is up, Desktoppers? I'm Xavier Wills, joined by Milos Sarcev. Milos, we're live on Desktop Bodybuilding now. I don't know if I think this is the second time we're doing it live, but last time we had, I think it was about 5 or 6 of us in the, that was on Bodybuilding University. But how you been, and did you see the contest over the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I just watched that footage that was presented again. It was not 4K or what do you have, 8K? You know, okay. So I learned my lesson because I've seen Honor Classic. I don't know if you've seen the Jake Hartley podcast, and I had a completely different opinion about the show. I didn't see James Hollingshead being so good, so conditioned, because he kind of has a shallow abs and not really deep separation and tie-ins and all that stuff. I didn't see a single striation, nothing. So I assumed he was kind of washed off. But then when I see the 4K footage, I say, hold on a second, it's a completely different story. So I'm going to stay corrected and say, I didn't see this footage yet. So now that you're going to be able to see it, we can analyze it a little bit better. But general opinion, of course, is, as you're going to say, is that probably some people would see Jamie winning. I'm his coach, so I would be completely biased if I say that. So I'm going to stay corrected always. People that know me, they know that I don't beat around the bush. I don't have a filter. I just say what I see it. So let's before we go into this footage, let's analyze. There was Honor Classic a week ago, and Patrick was second. Marc was 5th, and Jamie was 6th. So obviously, going into the new show, you would assume that the judge is gonna, follow the pack. This is what usually happens. Patrick was stupid ripped, stupid dry, crazy conditioned at Honor Classic, placed second, right? Marc is very aesthetic, wow factor, V-tapered, all that, but quite off at the Honor Classic, quite off. So there was already argument that Jamie could have beat him in Honor Classic. Obviously, I do think he should have, but it didn't happen. So going into this show, I think Marc was not going to even attend the show a couple of days before he decided to enter. So there was just Jamie going against Patrick. That was kind of my vision. But then Marc came about and said, okay, can he really improve in a week? I've seen people, change dramatically in 1 week. And I have to say that Marc looked much better at this show than at Honor Classic. I was not familiar with his physique and when he competed a couple of years ago, but I've seen the video footage, I've seen the physique. What you want to ask for, super small waist, flat stomach, wide shoulders. When he opens up those lats, goes all over the place. I mean, guys, super talent. Kind of have a little bit long torso. Legs need to be a little bit more developed. And going into the show, it was just a question, is he going to be in shape or not? Now that you told me, I haven't seen the score sheets. There was only 1 point decision, okay. I could see that, but before we analyze the footage, right, let's just lay out the cards. We have a super aesthetic, wow factor guy like Marc going against Patrick, who showed that he is a crazy condition, but doesn't have a structure, doesn't have that V-taper. It's not the same shape-wise when you look, when you expect wide shoulder, small waist, X frame, front lat spread, back lat spread. You already think of, okay, the guy like Marc would have a huge advantage over Patrick in that department. Now, add Jamie, that is 6'5" and also crazy V-tapered. smallest possible ways you can think of. I don't even think that people realize how small Jamie's waist is. And then that front relax and the front lat spread, how good they are. It just what you keep hearing. I heard this from Chris Cormier, from Dennis James, from Jay Cutler as well. Oh, but he's still 6'5". He still needs to be bigger. Jay Cutler said he needs 50 more pounds. I said, let's be, first realistic. And I said this on that podcast. When you consider skeletal system and then muscular system, right? It's a big difference from having a femur bone that is this long or twice as long. When you connect the muscle to it, does this muscle exponentially grow in diameter, for a 6'5"? If you look at Jamie's quad and measure it and weigh, it's going to be just as heavy as Patrick's and probably heavier than Marc's, but distributed on a 6'5" frame femur, it's not going to look as big. So do you penalize or you consider? Who was Fuad? Yeah, Fuad was saying it's still, you have to project if it's 4 feet tall and 7 feet tall. When you see that size and width and thickness, you projected, and this is how judges are looking at. My point was, I was super disappointed that judges didn't see Jamie worthy of that last comparison of number first, second, and he placed clearly third, but he was not given a chance to stand next to the guys and fight for his placing. So I talk too much as usual. So let me give you a microphone so you can ask the questions. Is this? Are you going to go pose by pose?
So, some of these guys actually didn't hit some of the poses. So Jamie actually didn't even hit all the mandatory poses at the pre-judging. So this is, I believe, from a pre-judging when they come out and do their free pose. Marc Hector only hit a certain amount of shots. So he hit, like, when I go through them, I don't even include all the shots because they weren't all done by all these guys. So Patrick Johnson was the only one out of these three to actually hit all the mandatories when they came out.
Jamie didn't do the back double biceps. So I was like, what the hell? Okay.
He didn't do the front either. He didn't do the front either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why I've got the lat spread here, and then I've got Marc doing the most muscular because I'm like, I'll include Patrick's, and I don't want them to be doing nothing.
Yeah, but how are you going to compare when they're not in the same pose?
Oh, but they do all do I believe Jamie and Patrick do a front lat spread here, so you can see obviously these guys.
Here. So first, I have to say this: all the respect for both Patrick and Marc, and I know they're not the judges, so they don't influence judges and say, "Hey, don't put the Jamie right next to us." And maybe because they beat Jamie, they would, even be offended. Why do we even have a discussion if he could have possibly beat him? Right? You can't tell the guy that win the show, that maybe he should have lose, right? So he's not gonna, take this very well. But as the competitors, right? We would like to compete. And if it's competition, let us fight. I said that at the podcast. There is no way that the judge is going to tell me there's not enough time. Okay, make the time. Get another 10 minutes of comparisons. In 10 minutes of comparisons, if you rush them, you can make like additional 4 call-outs. And additional four call-outs can mean a lot. Keep in mind that last year at the UK Arnold, Steve Weiberger took Nathan Diasha and Samson over and over. I mean, they did like 3 times in a row. Listen, the 2 guys going against each other, and 3 times in a row they were hitting all 8 mandatory poses. So you would think like it's not necessary, but you can see the changes. And I said that on a few podcasts. When I tried to really judge, sit in a chair, and I was watching Texas Pro, and I was analyzing on my YouTube channel, the same pose hit 3 times. 3 times I've seen a different winner. Okay, and I could imagine the judges are doing the same thing. So Patrick, right, super conditioned, super dry, I said a couple of times, which is contradictory, maybe even too dry. You've never heard anybody say this in any
Because
bodybuilding
he flattened
contest.
out too much, or do you think because he just flattened?
Sorry? Yeah, because listen, we are 65-70% water, and a lot of this intracellular hydration, right? So, but sometimes when you try to dehydrate, right, and you dehydrate everywhere, for me, I've never seen anybody that would be a best example of. For me now, Patrick is the best example of, because he's super lean, thin skin. I mean, you can see he cannot be better conditioned, but his muscle didn't pop. Striations were not happening. Muscle wasn't pushing the skin. And then when you look at the legs, right? At moments you can see that separation and the legs look crazy, but in most of the time he would just relax them slightly and you can see nothing. So
Yeah,
you do
absolutely.
realize there is a dry skin and no body fat, and you see that separation occasionally, but most of the time on the stage it was not there. Okay.
Yeah.
So do I judge by, oh, I seen it once, I assume this is how it's supposed to be in all poses? Nope. I would not say that. Another thing about Patrick, and please, Patrick, I mean, don't take this personally. I heard you're the biggest gentleman in the world and a great guy, phenomenal bodybuilder, Olympia contender, IBB pro champion, all the respect to you. So don't take this personally. I'm just analyst, right? So even I'm going to see Abdullah soon. Abdullah was sending me pictures, and originally, actually, I thought I'm looking at Brandon Curry when he sent me the pictures, right? Because it's the same place and kind of physique look alike. I said, "Whoa, he's great." But at all times, when on the stage, we all have to present the best possible package, and best possible packages always open up, always V-tapered, especially for somebody like you, Patrick, that you don't have that extreme V-taper. So you have to always keep shoulders out, lats out at all times. I've seen abs, they're deeply chiseled. In some shots, they're phenomenal, right? And legs, phenomenal. But in between poses and shortly after hitting the pose, it was kind of disappearing. Which tells
I'll show
me
some footage of that too, Milos. I just wanted to show you quickly the scorecard, and I'll take it back to the footage. But I just wanted to show you the scorecards here. You can see Patrick Johnson on the screen, finished on 4 points, but it looks like they had no difference between pre-judging and finals. It looks like it was just one set of judging, because by the scores, it just shows one lot of scores, which is sort of strange because as a coach as well, you're prepping guys to peak at. No, I mean the pre-judging and finals were basically one after the other, but you're getting guys to try to peak for one or the other. I mean, how would you feel if you finished a contest and you came back better at finals, or you look better at pre-judging and they only judged one lot?
You know, yeah, that's a good point that you're making. But here there was just like 1 hour difference, or 45-minute difference. So I'm sure the judges don't consider, okay, let's see, like Olympia, pre-judging and finals are 2 different days, and a lot of things can happen. Or other shows, it could be like a few hours difference, and you can see actually guys changing. Here, they don't even expect the change. Even if, what are you going to do in 45 minutes? You know, really, you know, you can't do much. You can maybe have some sugar and, you know, kind of things. Actually, you can do a lot if you do my protocol with insulin in 45 minutes.
Insulin protocols.
Yeah, you can do. But I see here judges, because probably there are 5 judges. One high, one low score is erased, and then middle 3 are considered. So you can see that 2 judges gave Patrick first place, and one gave it to Marc. So it would be a flip of a coin, and anything can happen. You and I discussed this before this podcast, and I said this, I'm going to say it publicly. If Jamie won, people like you and me, and probably a lot of others, would have no complaints. Of course, he's going to always be those people. He is 6'5" and he needs more muscle regardless. You have to look at him also next to those guys. So if he is, look at here, for example, right now, last spread pose that you had originally, he was dominating Patrick here, You know, it's much wider, much more V-tapered, right? Legs, look at the legs. This is what I was talking about. Patrick has a separation but doesn't show. So here, I mean, Jamie won the pose over him. You know, for me
look
looking.
At it, but you can't almost deny Jamie on that one. You look at the legs, like they're longer, so they're just bigger muscles in general, and they just overall are cut and look better on that pose. Even though Patrick has good legs, but we're not seeing it. And you look at the width of the shoulders and the way his chest is rounded, even though it's not straighted like Patrick's there, 'cause he's not really flexing it. But just everything is just better on that pose for Jamie. So you got to say he dominates the front lat spread. I mean, I think he still beats Patrick in other poses too.
Yeah, but again, please don't take. And everybody listening, they're gonna just say, "Here he goes again." Milo's just sticking up for his athletes. I don't. Of course, I love my athletes, like my kids. Of course, I would be possibly even biased without even knowing. But I'm putting myself here as an analyst. So what are we looking? Okay, let's do the side chest. Boom, when they hit the pose. Okay, here, boom. Right now, can you freeze it? Okay. So, is Jamie not competitive here? I mean,
I think he definitely is,
because he is super competitive. Shoulders, arms, chest, hamstring glutes there, quads, everything is there. He's covering a lot of space, right? And full aesthetics is there. I mean, Jamie has one of the best aesthetics. Maybe people don't talk about it yet for a 6 foot. Which who wouldn't want to look like Jamie? I mean, let's put that question there for anybody on this earth. Jamie has the most wonderful physique, so we would all like to look like this, shapely and be tapered and aesthetic, But this is still bodybuilding, so we are looking for the muscle. Most conditioned, for sure, Patrick. Okay, but this pose doesn't really show that much of conditioning. You can see striated chest and shoulders, tie-in between biceps brachialis and tricep, right? Abs are not being shown. So if I look at the pose, consider, okay, I know that Patrick is in the best condition, but can you see here a really level of conditioning? They all three look quite good. Marc,
in the side leg is where I see it on Patrick. I think that maybe that the thing that I've been thinking in my head is maybe that there is what maybe wins
but okay,
him
for that, for that, and listen, you and I are not judges, so this is all irrelevant. We are fans talking about it. Judges know what they're looking for. But do you consider few percentage drier skin? I mean, the muscle on a hamstring right now and the outer quads, lateralis, there is maybe fibers happening. Oh, is this enough to win the pose? So Marc looks tremendous in this pose. I mean, full shoulders, full chest. I must say, I'm watching this on my little iPhone, so I don't have pictures to really analyze. But I must say that Marc looks super competitive, and I could see judges giving this pose to anyone, including I would consider Jamie super competitive, and I wouldn't mind him winning the shot. Marc still has a somewhat smaller legs.
Yeah, maybe they're not to the level of these two other guys.
Yeah. So again, most disturbing thing for me was that Jamie did not get that chance to compete. At the finals when they were top 5 or top 6, top 5, there he could show that he is worthy. Okay, let's look at the side triceps. Boom.
So again, this is one I would say that I would give Patrick based on conditioning, possibly, because you get to see everything here. You get to see the striations in the chest. You get to see the side leg. You get to see his tricep pops reasonably well. But Jamie is, for a 6'5" guy, he is aesthetic on that pose and pulls it off really well. And I'd say Marc Hector for me, that's the only side tricep he does, at least in these, when he goes around here. So I don't know if he hits it. I can't even remember if he hits it when they do the call outs, but That looks really aesthetic and looks really good, but I don't know if you can judge that as a side tricep.
Yeah, that's not exactly a side tricep pose. Judges should maybe emphasize to be more particular about, hit the pose as it's supposed to be hit. After you hit that, and you want to do additional, which Arnold was doing. I mean, look at Arnold in Australia in 1980 when they called the, side chest, and he does a twisting back and all this shit before. But here, Patrick looks phenomenal on this one, especially on this footage. Now you can really see conditioning, tight skin separation, striations. Ooh, yeah, he looks more dominant here than what I've seen earlier. Because I know Jamie's side triceps, his thing of beauty, right? And here you see Jamie is supposed to still turn and show the left shoulder more in.
I'll see if he turns a bit more. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there. So now when you do this, you cover more space. You create the illusion of a more width at the top because we want more width at the top, small waist, right? He didn't exactly flex the abs like he should have. It pisses me off. But, you know what I mean? So in each pose, you try to get the most out of it. And side triceps pose calls for abs. So anybody listening, all the competitors, if you're going to take my advice, side triceps, okay, even before you, if you have a little bloated stomach and not the super, flat stomach and deep abs, turn your back, okay, show the back because that's Lee Haney's, a tremendous triceps pose, right? Sticking out the triceps. Breathe out before you turn, and then once you turn, everything has to be there. So by getting this left shoulder into the picture, right? When you bring the shoulder, you have a chest striated. So you have that illusion, oh, shit is happening, right? Yeah. Wide shoulder, chest, another shoulder is showing, abs are super tight, and then you keep the legs in this position. So Patrick did just perfect. This is exactly how I like it. Marc has a crazy chest and shoulders. You see, I cannot really judge. I was not there to see if Marc was in good enough condition. Appears to be, but trust me, I was in many shows before when I'm watching simultaneously video footage and guys on the stage, like when Juan Moral Diesel beat Cedric and Regan in Japan, I don't know, 2019, I think, and they were off. But then when you look at the video footage, like, hold on a second, they don't look so off right here, right? So I heard that Marc, even though it looked quite good on the video footage, it was still like thicker skin on the back, not really dry and all that stuff. But he sure creates illusion of being better conditioned. And if I might say, I know that I talk too much, so I'm gonna let you speak. but here, for people to hear, I was my first European tour, 91, and I've seen backstage Thierry Pastel, who I adore. I think he's one of the most underrated guys, and it was phenomenal physiques and everything. But by the end of the tour, he was slipping and he was kind of, off. And backstage, he is off. But he made a top 5, and I didn't. So I went in the audience to watch the top 5. Sonny Schmidt, my friend, was competing. And then all of a sudden, I've seen Thierry Pastel on the stage. He looks ripped to the bone. He looks like, oh, hold on a second. How is this even possible? So judges are not backstage. They see you on the stage. And Marc really looked great here. I mean, Jamie probably is not going to like me saying it. Yeah, Marc looked good.
But in that pose, definitely, for sure.
He does look great, So conditioning-wise, okay, levels. I would want to say that Patrick was most conditioned, and that Jamie was better conditioned than Marc.
No, I agree, and I'd say that's accurate. And I think as well, like Marc was hitting the shots that typically he looked better in. Like this side tricep, he looks great in. His side chest, he looks phenomenal in. Then he hits the back shots as well, where I do think conditioning-wise, it does show up a little bit more. So we'll get to that and we'll go through a few of these. But I actually do remember seeing Brandon Curry in person in Australia, sitting front row at the Australian Arnold Classic. I think it was maybe the first or second one, and seeing Brandon Curry and being like, is he always that soft? Is that okay? Like that conditioning? And he got placed fifth or something like that. But even still, I thought he got a gift. And then I looked back at the photos and they didn't look near as bad. But in person, up close, it was like, wow, he's off. It just looked
exactly.
so
So you see it. But, again, you and I are not the judges, and we don't exactly know what judges are looking for. So do they consider that? And yeah, they can say you're better conditioned. Like I was many times better conditioned than Flex Wheeler in the shows, but how can I beat Flex Wheeler, right? He would be just enough conditioned, and he had a much better shape, much more size, and there was never even a question. So here, Marc Hector has the lats that go from Australia to here to Vegas. I mean,
yeah,
look
it's
at
unbelievable. Just that upper lat, just how it sticks out, and it's almost like covering part of his arm in a weird way. It's like it's crazy,
freaky. But you can see the lack of a size in his legs, especially in this pose. Okay,
he's got a similar to like a Brandon Curry sort of shape to his legs as well. So it's his legs are probably like when Brandon Curry diets down, and like that year he came into the Olympia, not last year, the year prior. It was when he was trying to, I think that was when he's trying to do his title defense when Big Ramy won his first Olympia. He came in really hard, but his legs just sort of faded, and they got that similar sort of shape to how Marc Hector's sort of look in this contest.
If Brandon had a bigger legs, he could have won the contest.
Oh, absolutely.
So especially Ramy having a crazy legs, it was apparent. So I think that this would be. So how do you judge this pose? I mean, is Jamie competitive? He's complete. Oh, they're gonna say calves. Again, the way he poses, he kind of hides calves. He doesn't have a horrible calves, like people are saying, no calves, no calves. He has the calves. It's just again the tibia is too long and they're kind of high, and it's just they don't look big enough. But other than that, look at the width of the shoulders, width of the lats, small waist. You have a lower lats insertions, striding glutes, sweeping thighs. Not as conditioned as Patrick, but Patrick doesn't have a width. Okay, it's called lat spread pose for a reason, right? You have a mandatory poses that are called each and every pose. Front lat spread, the rear lat spread, but you're supposed to show V taper. And more extreme V taper is supposed to be, better. So most extreme is Patrick, Marc, with the lack of conditioning and lack of a balance in the lower body to the upper body. Yeah. So how do you judge that? I'm not going to say anything, one way or another.
I'll give you my opinion on this one because it is three totally different physiques here in terms of this back lat spread. So you got Marc, like you said, on the left. It's just the proportions are crazy. And if he was inside out, no question, he would dominate. But Patrick, like you said, the back isn't strong. You do see the traps running down the back, which do look sort of impressive, but you see the dryness a little bit, but just not enough taper. There's not enough of that width, like you said, for the, compared to these other two guys. And I think Jamie, to be honest, has the best combination. He's got crazy shoulders. His back's very big for being 6'5". He's got glutes that are developed and they're in pretty good shape. His hamstrings are hard without being completely inside out. So I think that he has the best combination. The only thing I'll say is when he pulls back into the pose, now I don't know how much this matters really, but when he pulls back into it, I mean, I don't know how much you judge a transition, but Patrick wins the transition because of the conditioning there.
Yeah.
So you can see that. So when he pulls back, it's just you see the conditioning straight away. So I think that catches the judge's eyes. And then when they go into it, you're like, oh, he's shredded compared to Jamie going into it.
I like that point that you made. I love the point you make because I said steal the pose before you hit the pose. Really, it's not just mandatory poses, but how you go into it. And then if you're a master of presentation and illusion, and you can create that attention. Ooh, look at the striated Christmas tree and lower lats. And so, I'm sure that even you remember 93 Olympia, Dorian, Flex, and Sean before they're hitting a rear lat spread, when they went back and there's a Christmas all over the world, right? There was like fibers all over the place. So impressive. But then when you hit the pose, this is called the rear lat spread. And who spreads the lats the most and has the not just V taper by X frame lower body too, and then conditioning enough size and shape. So like I said, it would be very hard for me. I would always go for balance, shape, aesthetics, and it has to be good conditioning. Was Patrick better conditioned than both of them? Yes, but he didn't have that width. Would I consider him winning this pose? No, I would give it to Jamie at this pose, and possibly Marc the second and Patrick third in this particular pose.
I agree. I think it's close between Marc and Patrick, but I think Marc is just too wide. Like, and then we hit some ab poses here. Obviously, it's a sort of variety of ab poses that they're hitting. So obviously, Marc and Jamie are hitting the same sort of variety there. I think that Jamie could maybe swing his quad around maybe a little bit more or something, like sort of how Marc is. But I think that in terms of just overall height and structure and everything, and just the cuts in the outer quad, I'd probably give it to Jamie over Marc narrowly, because Marc's shape is so crazy and he's got that round muscle belly. I think that sort of makes it very close. Patrick on this one, I mean, he's got the lean abs and everything. He's got the quads. He's hitting him a little bit better, but he just doesn't look. I mean, this scale isn't 100% right here, I don't think, because Jamie's obviously 6'5" and he's a lot taller than Patrick is. But he just doesn't, like, when he stands next to Jamie, he just doesn't stand out. And when he stands next to Marc, he doesn't stand out as much either, but he wins the contest. So perhaps, like we said, it could be quite different in person.
Freeze this, don't change. Okay, look at how good Patrick's abs look here and the right leg, right? So if I was his coach, you don't lose those abs in any of the goddamn poses. It's completely different picture when you have abs like this, spectacular, deep, flat, glued to the spine, and right leg separation is okay. So you have it. You're not showing it. If you show it at all times, and it's really how long, front poses, you do front double biceps, front lat spread, and you turn to the side. So you just have to hold it for these many seconds to hit those two poses, and then you can relax them because now you are on the side, and then you're going to turn to the back, right? And then by the time you turn around, again, you have only ab shut and most muscular. How hard is to hold the quads for a minute? It's not hard. And so many people are losing it. Now, ab shut, Jamie, originally the way he did it, is super competitive. And yeah, I could see him possibly even winning that shot also. So there's, as you see, few shots that he was, here. Okay, boom. When he hits it. Okay. Legs completely separated, abs deep, X frame, you can see X V-tapered, so it is. Did Marc even hit the ab shot?
He does not in this individual one. He missed so many shots. he only hit literally half of them. So I thought it was mandatory to hit every shot when you did that individual routine.
This is called intercostals, serratus shot, not the ab shot, right?
Yeah.
And then side triceps that turn into the front triceps. And the thing is the 8 mandatory poses are there for a reason. You can add to it, but first, but I must say, look at how great Patrick looks here. Jesus Christ. Patrick looks freaky here, but structurally there's no V-taper here, right?
Yeah, I think he wins that ab shot, and I'd say, well, him or Jamie. I'd probably say Patrick just on conditioning maybe, but then Jamie. But I think it's very, very close on that ab shot as well. And as you can see him go through this. Yeah, but Patrick doesn't hold it for a long time. Then we've got the most muscular here. We can pause it. So obviously you got Jamie and Marc hitting that shot. Milos, I've got a question. Does Jamie have like an ab cramp here or something?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. He didn't have me. There was never for a second question if he's too dehydrated or if he's having a cramps. No, but I'm going to say this publicly, and Jamie is listening. Even though Jamie won a Best Poser award. I don't know if you're aware of that. Yeah.
I didn't
So
even know they had a best poser.
Oh yeah, he was proudly showing me his trophy. Hey, MF, you're constantly saying something about my posing. I'm a best poser. Okay, but here I know that he could do the abs much better. You see, abs is not the muscle that you squeeze like everything else. Everything else you squeeze to pop out. Abs is a muscle that you squeeze it in, and he could have made it a little bit better.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
he's okay. Let's let them all three hit.
Yeah. I think Jamie's coming out of a pose though at that same sort of time, so it's sort of hitting at the same time. See Patrick hit it. There you go, Patrick there.
Uh-huh.
But as you mentioned, his legs, like he's got the leanness and the hardness there, but they're just not. I'll see if he gets them. So he doesn't really like the level of separation there is not crazy when you compare it to Jamie's and even Marc's. There's less separation.
Again, I'm looking from here from far away, my little iPhone, and it looks like Jamie's separation is much deeper. Okay, yeah. We know that Patrick's conditioning is better, and he has a separation, but it just doesn't show. So maybe his level of dehydration, that maybe you don't have that even feeling. So this is another aspect. Maybe you don't even also consider when we talk about conditioning. Okay, dryness is a big part, but hydrated muscle, glycogen-loaded muscle is hydrated muscle, right? There's a lot of water inside, So, and then when you hit the pose, separation can appear if you know how to, make those, hip flexors, knees out, and just bring out the separation. Whoever is flexing legs too hard, they're going to lose it within 10 minutes. And probably this is what is happening with Patrick. He is squeezing the muscle. I could stay for 30 minutes on the stage and you will see my legs separated completely because I just stiff my hips, push the knees out, and use least amount of effort to keep that separation going. So all the guys, competitors listening maybe to get my advice, flex your leg. And then when you flex, not 100%, but you see that separation, okay? Freeze right there, try to hold it without squeezing like a maniac. Other muscles, I would tell you, yes, squeeze like a maniac. You want to, most muscular, you want every fiber to come out. As Arnold Schwarzenegger was talking in Pumping Iron, the longer you squeeze, the more detail is going to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not legs, except that feathers, when you try to squeeze and show those cross striations, then for a couple of seconds you have to squeeze like a maniac, but you can't hold that for too long.
Yeah, because legs is a funny one because with your upper body, obviously you're just flexing it, and with your legs, it's a different feeling, and people don't really know, and you got to give people cues. But I suppose you're teaching posing and stuff like that as well. But even your back as well is one thing that you don't always want to tense up because you see people trying to do lat spreads and they're really contracting their back in instead of actually letting it go and spreading it like
before you change it, look at how good Jamie looks right here.
Just standing there, hey.
Who doesn't want to look like that? I mean, seriously.
It's cool because Patrick did that same thing then as well, and they both look insane doing that. But yeah, Jamie just like considering that 6'5", like seeing that in person, like when Jamie was going to compete in that Arnold Classic UK before the show, Nathan Diasha said, "I don't see him in the top 4, blah blah blah," in his predictions. And then Jamie's like, "Oh, I want to show him," sort of thing. And then Jamie sort of didn't come in his best, but then Nathan saw him at this show. No, was it this show? Or no, but he saw him at the Arnold Classic UK and he goes, "Wow, Jamie is huge. Like he looks really good." So he gave him his credit straight away. And Nathan was sort of, obviously would want his predictions to be somewhat right. So he was coming from definitely a non-biased view, and he was very impressed with Jamie at the Arnold UK. And he saw him here as well. And he said, he said he still had Patrick winning. Now, I will say Nathan said he had Patrick beating Andrew Jack last week. So he's a big fan of Patrick and the look he brings. But he said he had Jamie higher. So he had Jamie in the top 2 here.
Well, you see, so he saw Patrick winning, and Jamie. You see, Jamie on structure and conditioning could possibly, be there. But then again, there was only 1 point between Mark and Patrick. So, hey, I always give credit to the judges because that's what they do, all their life. They know much more what to look at. We are kind of fans, and I'm looking for what I want to look. I would always look for a shape aesthetics, V-taper, right? So, but conditioning is a huge part. Even though the most conditioned guy, if he doesn't have what it takes, you can give them. I mean, Andreas Munzer would win Olympia, a million times, if that's just the case, So it has to be the best combination of everything.
Yeah. And SA on here as well said Nathan has the Abdullah connection with Patrick but Abdullah actually doesn't prep Nathan, but they're both Oxygen Gym guys as well. Hey Milos, can you see the comments on the screen?
No. Is the neighborhood hey guys, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to give my opinion. So of course, when Fuad or Xavier call me, do I call you Xavier or Xavier?
Xavier.
Xavier.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's cool, and I love that comment. That was hilarious. But it's really cool because the thing is, like, you're such a big bodybuilding fan that you are so keen just to jump on with no benefit to you, just jump on podcasts and just talk bodybuilding. And it's cool because you like that, not just on podcasts. So it's not like you're just trying to get attention. You actually send me voice messages talking about bodybuilding for 5 minutes, and you can hear the passion in your voice. So it's I love it. It's
because I know you're the analyst and you're a true fan of the sport, and we speak the same language, right? So
yeah.
Tell them how it happened. You just asked me if I would have a time. So originally, I didn't even tell you that I have a time, but I'm so overloaded with my online coaching, and it's like, okay, let me entertain myself and have a little break, and might as well, be useful. So whoever doesn't like my opinion, shut the YouTube and don't listen. Right?
Exactly. I was going to say shut something else, like shut. But I wanted to mention a couple of other things before we wrap this thing up, Milos, because I know you got work to get back to and stuff as well. But Wesley Vissers, he took out the Classic. What do you think about this guy's physique in terms of Classic? Because he's got something different to what all these other top Classic
freeze
guys
right
have.
here. Freeze that front of the biceps. Freeze the front of the biceps. You see, I've seen his pictures, tremendous conditioning, all this stuff. But here is when a vacuum doesn't do you no good. His ribs, this just doesn't look good. I mean, for me, it's not pleasing, and it's apparent. I know it's expected to do it, but he has to do it differently so those ribs are not popping out like this. For me, it's eyesore.
I think he should do it like sort of with his body twisting, unless he's been told he has to do it straight front on, because I think it looks way better.
Listen, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a master of front double biceps vacuum. He did it because he had a wide waist, didn't have a great abs, and he created illusion. And who can take Arnold in the front double biceps? Phenomenal, with wider waist. Okay, but fact is, what I keep saying, vacuum is used to hide weakness, not to show the muscle, because come on, if you're going to show the abs, you don't vacuum. Vacuum shows what? Nothing. So the guys with the wider waist, they can create the illusion of a smaller. Okay, so it's just basically accepted in a classic physique that everybody has to do it. Oh, that's a classic way. Okay, and I must say, many people look good in a vacuum frontal biceps, but for me, I like Vez's physique, but I don't like this ribs look. It's just like almost he needs a kind of chiropractic adjustment, and to get them back in a place or something. For me.
For sure.
For me, if he can create that illusion of a smaller waist and just kind of, stretch the abs, not necessarily do. I was doing a front double biceps with flex tabs. I always thought 60 little symmetrical muscle in the middle of a body, if you don't lose the width of the lats, it contributes to the overall look. I mean, how can you penalize me for great abs in the front double biceps if I have a same V taper and more detail, right? So the vacuum classic front double biceps is just to create a more V taper, smaller waist for many people that maybe don't have it. If it looks good on you, great. I mean, I had an open division like Gustavo Badal back in the day. When he did the frontal biceps with the vacuum, that looks tremendous. I mean, I'm not going to mention too many guys, but there's many guys that really look good. I mean, Chris Bumstead looks phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, whoo, shit.
It suits some guys, but other guys, it's just, it doesn't suit 100%. And I think he looks good in a vacuum when he's twisted, but front on, I totally agree with you. He should try to hit that front double bicep in a twisting sort of manner and really, I suppose, just accentuate that sort of other freaky parts of his physique.
Yeah, so Wesley, Olympic competitor, and I watched him throughout the years, the quality that he has in the muscularity, great bodybuilder, right? So please don't take this against me. But you see, look at the ribs. Look at the ribs even here. It's eye-catching right away.
I don't mind it too much because I think this pose is much better than his front double bicep front on.
Yeah, but look, don't you notice? The first thing you notice is the ribs.
Yeah.
And that's the center of the body and all that. So he would have to kind of master the presentation and maybe hide that, because other than that, look at the physique. Phenomenal legs, shoulders, arms, chest, everything is there. I might be completely wrong, right? But again, I'm opinionated. This is my opinion. It's very tough when you criticize people because they would say criticism is negativity. Negative. You always should be positive. No. Everything that I say is constructive criticism with intention. If they hear it, maybe realize it, and maybe want to correct it, so it's positive for a better. But sometimes it doesn't come out that way because I don't filter anything. I say it the way it is, and then later on I might regret it and be penalized. But oh well.
Hey, Milos, you see this comment? It's from SA. It says, Xavier, it's 4:07 a.m. here in the UK. Woke up to go for a piss and jab my GH, and this was on.
Yeah, there you go. A good time to take GH. How much you taking?
Oh, I love it. Oh, cool. But I'll play a little bit more of this, and I just want to show you this one guy in the Classic Milos, and give credit to the guy who took this video as well, because he was at the Arnold Classic UK and really produced some high-quality video. Do you think his ribs look as bad here? Do you think they still look bad?
I'm sorry?
Do you think his ribs still look bad here?
So. I mean, look, I'm just calling as I see it. I know that this is always expected. I would like to see him flex his abs, but try to bring the waist in. So there's the way when you blow out, you can show the abs or bring the intercostals serratus into the picture and make a smaller waist. So if he can practice to bring the waist in with abs and then spread out the lats, I mean, this is a good pose. For me, again, I just can't help myself, but I notice it. So I may be glued to it and I'm just, seeing it at all times.
Yeah. It's like when you, like your ex drives a certain color and make of a car, and then you drive somewhere and you keep seeing that same car everywhere, and you think, is that my ex? Is that my ex? It's the same thing. You've just noticed the ribs and you can't get off it. But no, I understand it though, because they are a different shape. But it doesn't bother me, I don't think, as much as it bothers you on this, at least anyway. But he's brought some good conditioning, because that was the one thing that he sort of struggled with a little bit. And you can see this a certain level of like maturity now to his muscle, and there's just more hardness to it, which I think is a good look. Would you like to see Wesley go to open eventually, Milos?
Probably. I mean, he has everything that it takes. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. He has what it takes. If he can pack on the muscle. I watched his Instagram like 2 years ago, and there was a moment when I said, God damn, this guy is ripped to pieces, right? But then somehow he never brought that on the stage. I mean, look at that. This is
It's a
crazy.
great shot.
Great shot, yeah. So on the note of, can he be? You see, that's a great shot too, Arnold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's epic. No, that's why, like, I see those shots and I'm like, instantly, I'm like, wow, he's incredible. I mean, I see other ones and I'm like, oh, he's got sort of deficiencies.
Does he ever do the ab shot? I would like to see him with the abs.
Which one?
With the ab shots.
No, that's all he hits in this one, I think. No, that's all he hits. So he doesn't actually hit an ab shot for some reason on that one. But then they had.
So throughout the whole routine, we didn't see his six-pack.
No, it's strange, isn't it? Because he does have a pretty decent ab shot, I think. I can't quite remember, but there was a guy in the Classic. This guy got third. There's no HD footage of him, but I thought this guy was like almost like a white or whatever nationality this guy is, Keon Pearson, a little bit, slight exaggeration because Keon's, one of the best in the world and probably some of the most blessed shapes and genetics. But when this guy turns to the back, check out this guy's Christmas tree.
Yeah, but it's a huge exaggeration. I didn't see nothing of Keon.
Look at that Christmas tree.
Yeah, Christmas tree is there, but it's adductor spleen and muscles that it don't have a substance, they don't have a weight. There's not really it can be super skinny gymnasts that have this Christmas tree, right? But doesn't have a lats and big back muscles. Nice shape. You see, all these guys, I mean, here's the X frame, and I must say that it looks good on this guy, the vacuum pose. Maybe now that I'm seeing this, maybe Vaz is a little bit too squared. He doesn't go like for most of the guys. Maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah, but I was just impressed with that outstanding conditioning as well, because I think we're seeing better and better from the Classic, like in these smaller shows, like
the Classic guys are ripped. I mean,
yeah, like look at that. Like, it's just so crazy. That's like the Samir Banu. Obviously, you haven't got as good video quality here, so you can't quite see it as crisp, but that is just a crazy Christmas tree on his back there.
Here's the question for you. Last 3 Olympias, or maybe even 5, okay. How many crazy conditions you've seen in an open division? And then how many bad conditions did you see in the Classic division?
Yeah, I think you're seeing less of the bad conditions in the Classic and then more guys off in the open, to be honest, because you see, think about the Classic, the top guys in the Classic Olympia, they are all on. Like you've got obviously like Urs, like he comes in shredded and it's almost like slightly underrated because I saw stuff from him that he was posting up on his story and it was videos and stuff, so it wasn't filtered. And he was in crazy condition. You got Michael De Bull, who comes in inside out shredded. He did the Arnold Classic UK last week and I think he won that. Wesley Vissers is in great condition. Like all these guys are shredded to the bone. And I mean, I'd love to see it in open, but you've got the thing as well where, like Jamie, even for an example, if he pushes it too hard, he's going to lose a lot of size and then just not be comparable. So it's almost like there's such a strong emphasis on just pure mass. I mean, would you like to see that change?
Yeah, well, this is, and I repeat myself so people would be bothered. Did you hear my story from Joe Wheeler, 94 Olympia, when I went? Did you hear the story?
Oh, it depends what one it is. I might.
Okay, so 94, I consider my condition to be my greatest condition. Bone dry, fibers everywhere. I mean, but to get that condition, obviously, you sacrifice a little bit of fullness and all that stuff. But I was, in my opinion, in the most perfect condition, dryness-wise, leanest, all the combo. Then I go to European Tour, 94, of course, and I placed 13th, I think, at Olympia. On the European Tour, I beat Porter Cochelle, who was top 5 Olympia in every show, in England, in Italy, in Spain, in Germany, all the shows. Being much fuller, I say, okay, it doesn't matter. Then I go to the photo shoot for Joe Wheeler, and Joe was there. And of course, for me, I'm not in a contest shape, 2 months after, right? And he was, Milos, why didn't you look like this at Olympia? You would be top 6. And I really, really, it's like, man, what is, old man. That's not what he's talking about. And then, he goes, okay, come here. And he took me to the table that has a light under, and you can see the slides, and you see the pictures. And I've seen my slide from the Olympia, and then this Polaroid picture. And here in the Polaroid, of course, that's 94. Thank you. Yeah. It's unfortunately too much of the light, so you can't appreciate the condition. If you can, but trust me, I was, bone dry here.
You can see how deep the lines are, like in those legs and stuff. You can tell you're lean, definitely.
But the point that I was saying to make, so for me, I'm here in a great condition, and now at the photo shoot, I'm far off. And then Joe either showed me the picture, the same pose. He said, you see? And I said, God damn, here in the Polaroid, I look tremendously better because my conditioning is not so much different, but my size, shape, fullness, right? It made me realize, like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't go for, if you would look here, I had a Christmas tree, I swear.
Yeah.
It's super bad. So I can say, how did you pull out this so quickly?
I just literally started Googling as soon as you said 1994 Mr. Olympia. So
yeah, but anyway, so I realized that sometimes sacrificing, a little bit dryness and that crazy, conditioning to get that fullness would complement, especially aesthetic guys. They're not so massive. So this is why also for Jamie, there was not even consideration of going into, okay, let's just dig, dehydrate and all that stuff. It was just like, you need to be full. So yes, his back is not as ripped as the front. So a lot of people will say, oh yeah, you need still the sharpness there. But if you trade off a little bit more dryness there and lose the chest, shoulders, arms, would it be worth it? So he's coming to Reno show with intention actually to be just as full or fuller. So we're going to try actually, to push a little bit even more fullness. And then, maybe I'm going to be in Reno. I still don't know. Maybe I'll pull out a little bit more. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to see it, Milos. Thank you so much for jumping on here. Do you have anything you want to promote or shout out or anything like that before we wrap it up?
No. I'm a worst businessman in the history of a bodybuilding community. So,
I was going to say, you never shout out your stuff or anything like that. You just literally.
I don't. Yeah, did you ever see me do the hashtag on my Instagram and all these other people? You need this, you need this. No, I don't do Instagram for followers. That's my photo album. I put the stuff that I'm interested in. And if I'm interested in, more than likely, true bodybuilding, passionate fan like myself, they would like to see it. Of course, occasionally, but more than occasionally, put my pictures. Because who else is going to put my pictures? They competed 25 years ago.
There's still some pages. There's still people tagging you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So. But it's cool. It's cool that you're still into it, man. And we've had a lot of people commenting and debating everything in the comments as well, which is really, really cool. And you're getting a lot of credit in there as well. I say thank you, Xavier and Milos. It's our pleasure. But thank you so much for coming on here, Milos. It's been awesome. I always enjoy talking to you. And maybe you can jump on one of the podcasts this week as well if you've got the time, because you are the podcast slut. So I'd be upset if you turn me down.
Yeah, I would be Tuesday on the podcast with Dennis and Chris, and I'm going to say probably Dorian is coming.
Oh, awesome. That would be cool. I love Dorian's interviews.
Yeah. Of course, everything about Dorian. Yeah, it's interesting. Especially, how many times I said that, in my opinion, he shouldn't win. So I'm going to be probably in trouble because what do you mean by that? Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear that one, man. That'll be awesome. They can check that out on the Menace podcast as well. If you just search that on YouTube, you'll find it. But anyway, that's it for For myself and Milos the Mind Sarcev, for Xavier Wills and Milos Sarcev, we are out.